like too much happened at the sentencing. But thanks for tuning in to Let's Talk About It Media 21. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let me get into the system, so I can kind of update you guys. But yeah, people are saying not much happened. So just give me a second. Oh yeah, that was it. That was it. Yeah, like the videos you guys come in. Let me go ahead, hit that. And we're going to get into some things. I think a lot of people are kind of frustrated because not much happened. But it was remote. And I told you guys it most likely will be remote. And it was. So just give me a second to get in. Let me go back. But like the videos you guys come in, going to communicate what's happening. It took a minute because I was like, okay, so what's next? What are they saying? But like the videos you guys come in, Come on now, I need to get in here and do my. I need to get in here and do my thing. I hope everyone's doing well. I'm trying to get in so I can type up what I normally type up. There we go. It took a minute. Sometimes it do. Technology. Okay. Let's see. Copyright disclaimer under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1971. Allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is use permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged, in our opinion, and for entertainment purposes only. Of course, there was media out there. They were trying to cover the hearing, the sentencing. What will happen? Will the October date change? Will he get sentenced sooner? So we're going to just go over some news media that's generally talking about it. About the hearing, what could possibly happen. They wanted to keep it down to a minimum, y'all, and I don't blame them because there's been so much drama after the hearing. So let's get into a few different clips. Thanks for being here, everyone. Thanks for being here. But it doesn't sound like anything's been set. There was a date of September, then they went back to October, but we'll get into that too.
What's next following a split verdict in Sean Combs' federal trial? Last week, a jury found him guilty of prostitution-related offenses. Now he's awaiting sentencing. Eyewitness News reporter Phil Tate has more from Lower Manhattan.
Good afternoon. It's been nearly a week since Sean Combs was convicted of 2 of the 5 criminal charges stacked against him in his federal case, but a judge ultimately made the decision not to release him back to his family as he's still in a Brooklyn jail. Well, today the defense and prosecution are expected to come together in a virtual hearing to schedule his sentencing day. It was a dramatic day at the federal courthouse after the verdict was read. The self-proclaimed bad boy dropped to his knees after a jury struggled to reach a verdict in their deliberations. He was denied bond after his conviction of 2 counts of prostitution-related offenses, as a judge cited a history of domestic violence. For Combs' legal team, they say their fight is far from over. Sean Combs was acquitted of the top charges that included sex trafficking and racketeering that could have put one of hip-hop's most celebrated figures behind bars for life, as well as 2 counts of sex trafficking tied to former girlfriend Cassandra Ventura.
No one's defending him over here. Like we said, it's up to a judge, jury's innocent until proven guilty in a court of law. A jury-made decision. People are talking about how disgusting it is. What happened at his home, what they retrieved, what happened at the hotel, what they retrieved, the video of what he did to Cassie, it's all concerning. So no one's defending no one over here.
And another witness identified as Jane, If he was convicted of that charge, the mandatory minimum would be 15 years, while Combs' sentence will come down to Judge Arun Subramanian, as federal guidelines for these charges are quite large.
Yeah, other people defending is weird because they would not want that happening to their mother. They would not want that happening to their niece. They would not want that happening to their grandmother because, you know, some of them grandmothers kind of be dating them younger dudes. But yeah, they wouldn't want that happening. And they wouldn't want that happening to their brother if they went in as a working as, you know, some of these people that's working for him. They wouldn't want that happening for them either. Staying up for days, having to clean up his sloppy mess from his whatever. This whole case, the relationships between him and these women, toxic. What the employees experience, toxic, sad environments. Real talk. It's been sad. How it was written and the charges were written, it's almost like, were y'all paying attention? What were you doing? Why would you not write it properly? Everybody, normal people are concerned about how the charges were written up and how he only got 2 out of 5. Many people were talking about that, but the jury made a decision, and that's what people have to deal with, because it shouldn't just been solely 30 to 40% just on him and Cassie. It should have been focused more on. Also, in regards to like the Kid Cudi situation, why is Kid Cudi giving police departments prints? Why didn't the police take their proper prints? And then whatever prints Kid Cudi did give them, they lost them. Oh, really? And then, of course, he probably got rid of what he did have. But did you also notice regarding anybody Cassie wanted to date, they mentioned their names. But then they wanted to keep the rapper, whoever that rapper was, that Jane, the event she went to, they wanted to keep that rapper anonymous. What? You want to mention everybody Cassie wanted to date to get out of a bad situation, but then you don't want to talk about the rapper that's doing alleged the same thing. So people side-eye a lot of stuff that transpired, that happened, what the women experienced. Some of the dates and stuff was wrong. Some of these people met with the feds several times, which is cool, but know your facts. You're going to get on the stand, know your facts, know your dates. You can't be falsifying stuff, and a lot of these people were on substances, so they could have been mixing dates and times and months together. They could have been, but you shouldn't be. But yeah, so many concerning things. Hollywood is being exposed. People are being exposed for how they treat people, disrespect people, the toxicity of what's expected, the concerns of what's expected of the employees for having to clean up hotel rooms so that way media don't get pictures of what you're doing. And I know you probably didn't mean me because maybe you haven't been over here. Oh, we covered all. The good, bad, ugly, or indifferent. We're not trying to be on his side. We're not trying to be don't get me wrong, his attorneys he paid for, in certain situations, they did pretty good. They couldn't get him bail though. I'm sure he don't like that. And they're trying to make themselves look good because I'm sure Diddy is frustrated he couldn't get bail again. But like I said to that regarding that too, sometimes once one judge makes a decision, another judge will say, this is what it is. Okay, so let's continue.
Prosecutors are asking the judge to sentence Combs to 5 years. Meantime, defense attorneys are aiming for a sentence between 21 to 27 months, or around 2 years. Now, Sean Combs has been behind bars for the past 10 months from when he was taken into custody last fall. Today's virtual hearing is scheduled for 2 p.m. We're outside of the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. I'm Phil Tate, Channel 7 Eyewitness News.
Yeah, hold on. They normally have that successful type of rate, but I don't know why they dropped the ball. And then many people and myself has said, why didn't you call certain people on the stand? You're going to mention KK, but you're not going to make her take the stand? Where they do that at?
Music mogul's trial. He was convicted of 2 counts.
Hold on.
Of the most.
And how he going to take the stand by himself? Why? How are he going to take the stand by himself? How you gonna take the stand by yourself? But people and the assistants had to take the stand, but KK didn't have to take the stand. Where they do that at? He dated other people outside of Cassie. Where are those women? Why didn't you force them to be there? Now, mind you, they said that the chef was supposed to take the stand, but once the chef was going off, they was like, oh no, we're not gonna call her because she mad. She was big mad. Let's continue. Hold on, fair use ration clip.
Serious charges. Alice Gaynor is at the courthouse with an update. Today's 2 p.m. hearing is remote. The judge and attorneys will discuss the sentencing date. Right now it's scheduled for October, but defense attorneys want that date moved up. After 14 hours of deliberations, Sean Combs dropped to his knees and prayed after a jury of 8 men and 4 women found him not guilty of racketeering conspiracy and 2 counts of sex trafficking, but guilty of 2 counts of transportation to engage in prostitution. Over the weekend, the Associated Press reports Combs' defense attorney Mark Agnifilo said Combs got a standing ovation from fellow inmates when he returned to the Metropolitan Detention Center in Brooklyn after bail was denied. The defense last week argued for bail for Combs, saying, quote, he is a man who's in the process of working on himself. He's been a model prisoner. The judge told the defense the burden was on them to establish that Combs...
Please like the video as you guys come in, and please subscribe. We're almost at 40K. Thank you. Please like the video and please subscribe. We're almost at 40K, and thank you.
Posed no danger. And the judge referenced the defense telling jurors during the trial that this video of Combs attacking Cassie Ventura was domestic violence. Quote, and you full-throatedly in your closing argument told the jury there was violence here, and domestic violence is violence. The 55-year-old is facing a punishment of 0 to 10 years on each of the 2 counts he was convicted of. The judge says when Combs is sentenced, he will get credit for time served so far, which is almost 10 months. The government argued against bail, saying, among other things, what he was found guilty of requires mandatory detention. But they did say they would work hard with the defense to expedite sentencing. Again, that remote hearing scheduled for 2 p.m. We expect to find out whether or not sentencing remains October or whether it's moved up. They're also going to be discussing other scheduling issues. That's at the federal courthouse in Lower Manhattan. Al.
Yeah, so people couldn't really cause no drama today. A decision was made. Hold on, because I pulled something for y'all. Hold on. Hold on. Just give me a second. Like the videos you guys come in. So we're going to talk about the letter in regards to what they presented to the judge.
The parties have met and conferred and have agreed to the following schedules for sentencing, post-verdict motions, and submission of offense conduct to the probation office. For sentencing, the parties proposed the court's original date of October 3rd.
It's going to go fast.
The defense proposes that the probation office provide the parties with a pre-sentence investigation, PSR, on or before August 29th. That the defense objects to the PSR be filed on or before September 5th. And the government objects to the PSR be filed on or before September 12th. That the probation disclose their final PSR on September 18th. That the defense sentencing memoranda be filed on or before September 19th. And that the government's sentencing memoranda be filed on September 26th, 2025. So just a chain of events. You get it, you got to object, file all that. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. For post-verdict motions, the parties propose that the defense file any post-verdict motions on or before July 30th. So that stays the same. And the government responds on or before August 20th.
So basically, they were trying to see if they can move some things from September back to October, and I think it's going to remain October 3rd.
Allergies. Finally, the government requests that it be permitted to submit its summary of offense conduct on or before July 11th, and the defense does not object. We appreciate the court's consideration. So what's up? What has changed? What has changed just from the other day from an old letter? They're like going back to square one. But that's where we got. So, yeah, that's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Thank you again, Missy, for the gifted membership. What gifted membership? Again, Missy in the house. Yeah, that's crazy. But that's where we're at. So, nothing new to exciting on that aspect, and that was just a quick, we are adjourned. Now let me look at Inner City Press to get a little follow-up here and see if it says anything. But most of the people are responding, that's it. Some people are in the chat feeling like Diddy's going to get off easy. Why does this defense now want to have it October 3rd? Do they need more time? Do they want to say...
Maybe the judge is evaluating what's going on, what's being talked about, what's happening. Alleged certain YouTubers are not giving true stories about what's happening, what happened outside the court. Some of these YouTubers are making stuff about them and it's not true. And, you know, maybe they just wanted to do the letter to kind of calm some of the foolishness down. Maybe the judge needs more time. You got to realize there's a process to everything in regards to paperwork that has to be done before sentencing. You can't rush those people either. So that's a huge thing. Hold on. Like the video.
I'm thinking for strategic reasons, they might say, well, Your Honor, he's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center for over a year. Year and a day, there's a lot of this year and a day talk, so he can get the good time. Remember, they'll probably be pushing for a sentence. Oh, by the way, they might not just say time served, but they might ask for a year and a day. In the federal level, you'll hear a lot, year and a day. Look it up. If you get a year or less in federal prison, you don't get good time. You do not, you have to actually serve, you have to be sentenced to over a year.
And just like a lot of us, in regards to this case, maybe the judge is literally physically, mentally tired and exhausted too. Baby, the sidebars, the constant objections, because sometimes we were hearing from the transcripts, sometimes the people couldn't even give more than a yes or no. They didn't want people to elaborate. A lot of people are somewhat long-winded, or they want to make their statement clear, just like husband and wife. Honey, I'm not just going to be saying yes, no to you. I need to elaborate why I don't want to do this, why I don't want to do that. People need to elaborate. And in a lot of situations, they could not. And then towards the end, it just became so repetitive. It just became so repetitive. People were frustrated. People became so frustrated.
On the U.S. versus Sean Diddy Combs, after his 2 convictions with 3 not guilties, today at 2 p.m., there's a hearing on... okay, here we are, Matthew Russell Lee, Inner City Press, here at the Southern New York Courthouse. Today, it's Tuesday, July 8th. Now, on the U.S. versus Sean Diddy Combs, after his 2 convictions with 3 not guilties, today at 2 p.m., there is a hearing on expediting his sentencing. His bail was denied, but the judge seems committed to move his sentencing up from October 3rd. And I'm assuming that Mark Agnifilo and his other lawyers will be asking for time served when the time comes. Now, meanwhile, so we'll be doing that at 2. Instead of it being by phone, which it could have been, since it's virtual for the lawyers, it'll be in the courthouse. But so will we be. There it is right there, the courthouse. But there's been a development. Early in the trial, in the first week, in fact, before the trial's testimony and even opening statements began, during jury selection, we noticed that one of the prospective jurors said he worked at the UN Office of Counterterrorism. And then he was asked, does that mean you work in any way with U.S. law enforcement? And he said, no. Now, I used to cover the United Nations. In fact, I still do. I write scoops daily about it. But I report on it pretty aggressively. Anyway, I know that office, and they do work with U.S. law enforcement. So it just sort of stuck in my craw that why would this juror be misrepresenting? And on the second day, they asked him more about it because it wasn't credible. He said, no, we work only with Interpol and something about the Dushanbe process. Okay, didn't think more about him because he's just an alternate. And he knew he was an alternate. Only one alternate actually made the transition to being on the jury. That was alternate 1, who took the place of juror number 6, who was ousted for misrepresenting, according to the judge, where he lived and the credibility issues raised thereby. Now, alternate 6 went on CNN right after the verdict, and he said, first he said he inflated his importance by saying, no one told us who were the jurors or who were the alternates. That's totally false. He was there, I was there. Anyone that covered the trial heard them say, you are alternate 6. Fine. Then he said that the videos that no one saw except the jurors and alternates at the time, he said, they were riveting, but also kind of tame. Now, the question was put to him, he said, the prosecution showed videos of Cassie just sitting around. The interviewer then said, you mean the defense? He said, oh, yeah, the defense. So then he went out of his way to mention 350 pages of notes, which, to me, call me a cynic. I believe alternate 6 misrepresented to get on the jury, as we reported at the time. And as soon as it was over, somehow was contacted CNN to mention his copious notes, possibly to sell a book. I mean, who am I to say? Who am I to say except to say it's extraordinary to me that this UN... Anyway, we'll have more on this. We've written a story. You can find it. And I think by going on CNN, all bets are out the window, honestly. And the whole secrecy of the trial had a lot of problems, but this is a new low. This is a new low, frankly. Now, what else? Today at 10:30, very soon, we're going to be live tweeting the final pretrial conference in U.S. versus Roman Storm.
So basically, it may stick with October because paperwork takes time. Even though they were trying to rush it, you can't rush it. There's processes here. So hold on one second. Like the video. Not a main. As I woke up, I was clicking on stuff. A decision hasn't been made. I think that the sentencing will still be in
Court is
October.
formulating a sentencing schedule that's supposed to happen in October. The hearing comes less than a week after Combs was convicted of 2 of the 5 criminal charges in his sex trafficking and racketeering case. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman has been following every piece of this and joins us now from outside the courthouse, where I think you live by now. You must know everybody's names, you know all the kind of the crews there back with you, you're a little family. So Katrina, what's supposed to happen today? We know that from Diddy's lawyers, they said that he was greeted with cheers back in the detention center after the verdict. So what business needs to be done in the courtroom today?
Yeah, that's all true, Errol. Today, what's happening is that Sean Combs' team says they want this sentencing to happen as soon as possible. Last week, the judge had tentatively set it for October. They want it much sooner. Last week, Sean Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, was even saying that he'd be willing to waive the ordinary probation report. The judge didn't want to do this, though, Errol. He said the parties here are just too far apart in their viewpoints about this sentencing. The maximum here is 20 years, although last week, the prosecution, after doing some calculations, was then estimating more like at least 5 or 6 years. The defense was projecting more like 2 years. So there's just a really big divide here. It's also important to note that Combs has already been detained for 10 months now, so that will count towards whatever his sentence is. And his defense team says they just feel that they have strong arguments for a short sentence. They want this as soon as possible. It's also worth noting that you can't appeal until after your sentencing, so that could be on their minds as well.
And if we remember, the judge denied bail for Combs, I think because of some of the allegations made in court. I'm not, clarify for us why that was, and how likely is it that he walks free soon?
So, Errol, what the judge said here is that one of the factors he takes into account is whether the defendant poses a danger or a threat. And there were also 2 letters submitted, in addition to what the prosecution submitted to the judge, one from Cassie Ventura, that's Sean Combs' ex-girlfriend, a key witness in this trial, and she was tied to some of those charges against him, and another from Deontay Nash, another witness, a friend of Cassie. He had worked with Combs, both witnessed and experienced his violence. And they both said that they felt unsafe with Sean Combs being released. They think he poses a danger to the victims, to the witnesses in this case. Deontay Nash said that he feared retaliation. And what the judge ultimately said is that the defense, his whole defense was this was domestic violence. Sean Combs' actions, they never denied his violence. And as a result, it's just impossible for them to say that Sean Combs does not pose any danger if he's released. And on that basis, he is keeping him detained for now.
Yeah, serious accusations and then Sean Combs' defense all around. Katrina Kaufman, across.
Still keeping him detained. Many people are upset that they don't know much more about the sentencing. So when I woke up, I was like, okay, wow, I was supposed to go live at 2. I was knocked out. I was just knocked out. So then when I woke up, I was like, okay, what happened? Not much movement. They wrote the letter and they basically told people how they felt. If you're just not coming in, we'll go over the letter again. Hold on one second. Just give me a second. Give me a second. We'll go over the letter again. Thanks for tuning in, everyone. Thanks for being here. Like the video as you guys come in. We'll go over the letter again. People are just now coming in. Just give me a second.
Be filed on or before September 12th. That the probation disclosed their final PSR on September 18th. That the defense sentencing memorandum be filed on or before September 19th. And that the government's sentencing memorandum be filed on September 26, 2025. So just a chain of events. You get it, you got to object, file all that. Excuse me, I had to sneeze. For post-verdict motions, the parties propose that the defense file any post-verdict motions on or before July 30th. So that stays the same. And the government responds on or before August 20th. Allergies. Finally, the government requests that it be permitted to submit its summary of offense conduct on or before July 11th, and the defense does not object. We appreciate the court's consideration. So what's up? What has changed? What has changed just from the other day from an old letter? They're like going back to square one. But that's where we got. So, yeah, it's pretty crazy. Pretty crazy. Thank you again, Missy, for the gifted membership. What gifted membership? Again, Missy in the house. Yeah, that's crazy. But that's where we're at. So, nothing new to exciting on that aspect, and that was just a quick, we are adjourned. Now let me look at Inner City Press to get a little follow-up here and see if he says anything. But most of the people are responding, that's it. Some people are in the chat feeling like Diddy's going to get off easy. Why does this defense now want to have it October 3rd? Do they need more time? Do they want to say that, I'm thinking for strategic reasons, they might say, well, Your Honor, he's been in the Metropolitan Detention Center for over a year. Year and a day. There's a lot of this year and a day talk, so he can get the good time. Remember, they'll probably be pushing for a sentence. Oh, by the way, they might not just say time served, but they might ask for a year and a day. In the federal level, you'll hear a lot, year and a day. Look it up. If you get a year or less in federal prison, you don't get good time. You do not. You have to actually serve. You have to be sentenced to over a year to get the 54-day good time. So a lot of lawyers.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. I hope everyone's doing well. Midday afternoon live. Yeah. Many people are saying that it may just be October. They were trying to do something for September. And like I said, there's a lot of paperwork that has to be done. Some of those people may not have been able to process everything that need to be processed within a week's time. Everything takes time. They can't push him up in front of what they were already working on. Why are you here? Why are you typing? Are you kidding me? I'm exhausted. Don't play with me right now. Go on your own page. You care. You're over here typing. Go somewhere. It's midday and you're acting cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs. Stop playing. Go somewhere. But anyways, we'll follow what happens in regards to the proper sentencing, what it will be, the proper date, when that date will be. Many people, real talk. People ain't got time for foolishness, being rude on people's comments and stuff. I'm a woman. I don't deal with disrespect. But anyway, we're over here talking facts. Some pages are sitting up lying. So anyways, and see, that's what people want to do. They want to distract you. Anyways, we will see what the sentencing will be. Many people are wondering, will it be separate 10 years? Will it be a combined 10 years? Will it be less than 5 years? No one knows what what the judge is going to decide. Since he doesn't have that bad, we know what the streets were saying, what was going on. They're saying since he doesn't have that bad of a criminal record, there's some kind of chart they have to follow. I did a short regarding that. There was a defense lawyer that did a short. Go check out my short regarding that. The only thing I did not like that she had said some stuff about Cassie, and I don't think that was true about the Cassie situation. But yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. We don't deal with foolishness or disrespect. Go disrespect your mall, okay? Anyway, so there's the short in regards to that. Let's see, what else? Yeah, not too many people. There was a lot of people outside the courtroom. I even watched Make It Make Sense. He was like, man, I got dressed for this. They couldn't do a lot. They couldn't do a lot of reporting. And I told y'all, will it be remote? Which means he wasn't going to be seen by anybody in the courts. It was a remote hearing. We had been saying that. So I think people thought it was going to be similar in regards to them being able to go either in live courtroom or overflow, and it was none of that. It may have been them just being able to hear what was going on. I'm still trying to get that. Like I said, I just woke up, so I'm not in the mood for no BS. But yeah, we'll know more what the judge decide in regards to sentencing. No one knows still. No one knows. Let's see. I did a video in regards to the chef. She did speak out in regards to her concerns. So outside the chef, did other people have concerns like her being contacted by the feds, just showing up at their house? There's a video I will do with you guys, though. I'm not doing it now because now I found out I got to do something. But yeah, there is a video that I'm going to do in the morning. There's a video I'm going to do in the morning. And we're gonna get into that tea. But yeah, let's see. 12 minutes ago. Hold on one second. Yeah, it took me a minute.
Sooner rather than later, this was Sean Diddy Combs listened in for a virtual court hearing today, asking a virtual court hearing to sentence him sooner rather than later. This was after the mixed verdict at his sex trafficking trial. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman has been following this case very closely. Thank you very much for joining us. Can you tell us what happened in court today?
Sure, this was a rather anticlimactic hearing. It lasted about 2 minutes, but it was audio. Sean Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, was on the line. A couple of the attorneys from the prosecution, Christy Slavic and Emily Johnson, were, and Mark Agnifilo also told us that Sean Combs was listening in as well. But essentially, shortly before this hearing happened, Agnifilo had sent in a letter to the judge. He said the parties had conferred and agreed upon a timeline for the sentencing. What they're proposing is September 22nd, with a pre-sentencing investigation report, which is essential before the sentencing happens, done by September 5th. Last week, the judge had tentatively set October 3rd, so this doesn't actually push things up that much, but the defense said they want this as expedited as possible, and it sounds like perhaps this is the latest they could agree upon. So basically what happened in there is after they identified themselves, we were all listening in from a courtroom on audio, and someone from the court said that the judge is going to review this proposal and get back to everyone.
And Katrina Combs is facing up to 20 years in prison between those two convictions. What sort of sentence is the defense, and what sort of sentence is the prosecution looking for here?
So the prosecution had a big shift last week. When the verdict initially came in with those 2 guilty counts for transportation to engage in prosecution, they initially said they were planning to go for the max here. That's the 20 years. But when we regrouped later for the bail hearing, they said they'd done some initial calculations and they thought he deserved at least 5 or 6 years. Now, the defense says that they're calculating about 2 years. So there's a pretty big divide there. Sean Combs has already, as of now, spent about 10 months in detention as well. That will count towards his prison sentence once that happens. Although I do think the fact that the judge didn't let him out on bail last week and really emphasized Combs' history of violence and the fact that that is something that the defense has not disputed at all during this trial could weigh in when the sentencing finally happens.
All right, Katrina Kaufman, thank you very much for staying on top of this.
Yeah, I mean, people are speaking out. And this is the other thing you guys have to realize. Some of those people were on the list to testify. A lot of people were on the list to testify and they did not testify. So a lot of those people had to be hush-hush during the trial. After the trial was done, they were able to speak. Remember, there's a person allegedly trying to sue Cassie and stating he had health concerns. He's trying to sue Cassie. Now, there's a lot of people that's speaking up. Allegedly, a backup juror, he's trying to speak up on CNN. People are questioning his comments and thought. We really haven't heard from the jurors. Have y'all noticed that? Many were wondering if the jurors will do an interview, do a book, do a combined interview. We really haven't heard from the main jurors that made a decision. I'm kind of surprised about that. I'm keeping my ear to the street and not one word from the jurors. So that's kind of interesting. Oh, you didn't know? Okay. I'm going to be general. There's a gentleman that said they hired him. He knew Cassie and Diddy for about 8 years. He's trying to say Cassie gave him a health concern down there and had to take medicine for it. You got to excuse my page. I'm a little, I have to be general so I can get that green dollar sign to get fully paid. He's trying to state okay, let me give you the name too. Hello. His name is Clayton Howard, and they called him Dave in the court hearing, in the trial. His name is Clayton Howard. Go look up his video. It's out there. He states several different things. He had a few health concerns. Few health concerns, but many people are questioning Clayton Howard because Clayton Howard, if you had a girlfriend or if you were doing this with other people, how do we know that Cassie was the one that gave you something? Okay, so there's that. Because in certain parts of the interview, he stated he had a lady friend, and then he said he met up with an ex-girlfriend. When Diddy had called him and he didn't answer the phone, he was hooking up with somebody else. And then he stated, and he had an interview with TK. There you go. He had an interview with TK, but Neighborhood Talk has information about it. Hollywood Unlocked has information about it, and On-Site has information about it. He had an interview with TK. But he's also saying that someone got impregnated, and allegedly they did not keep it. So he's saying a lot of allegations. I can't confirm or deny if anything was given. Yeah, so a lot is going on. I don't know if he has a case, because think about it. A person can go to the doctor and get tested Monday, But they can sleep with a few different partners and then go get tested again Friday. Well, your original test, you said you were clean, but you slept with other people. So how do we know that you're clean? And then this is the other thing. Let's be realistic. So say, for instance, you go get a test Monday. Okay? You're clean. Good for you. Let's make a clap. But then you go sleep with somebody Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Okay, maybe that partner you were sleeping with when you got that clean test Monday, they might have slept with somebody else. And you slept with them again Monday, Tuesday, or Wednesday. They could have gave you something. So how do we not know that you stayed clean? You know what I mean? So he's trying to say he allegedly caught something, allegedly, can't confirm or deny. If Cassie gave him something, because you got to remember, Cassie would often sleep with other people. Sometimes she would have up to 2 or 3. 1, 2, or 3. So it just depends. So people are going to, how will a doctor know if you had a clean test and then you went back that Friday, you could have slept with 3 different people? How can you confirm or deny it was Cassie? How can you confirm or deny it was Cassie? And if she was carrying, I have to be careful what I say. If she was carrying, how can you confirm or deny you were the one that inserted the proper thing to make her impregnated? You can't, because you slept with her Monday. Who's to say she didn't sleep with people Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday? And also understand this too. He didn't know. He, for some odd reason, he kind of thought he was almost the only one between Cassie, him, and the diddler. So people are here, ooh-wee. But even in regards to the civil lawsuits regarding Diddy, any civil lawsuits in regards to Cassie, people are going to have to show police records, hospital records. They're going to have to show all that. So unless he took a test that Monday and then immediately after he left, Cassie Diddy took another test and it showed goodbye, thank you for the payment, and then maybe if he was at the doctor's immediately after that, now that's a possibility. And he put it in the notes, I got paid, I stayed here time to time, them saying goodbye, thank you for your time, and then he literally was at the doctor's maybe 30 minutes later. Then I can see if there's a positive and then there's a negative test. If you immediately went to get tested to see if you were clean, and then they said, no, now you're not the next day after you left them, that would make a difference. You were clean, you slept with, and immediately after you went and you were tested, now they're saying you're not clean. Now that's a possibility. You have messages, you went to the hospital immediately after because you weren't feeling well, and who's to say, several days you were able to go to the restroom fine. You were with them for for almost a whole day, 8 to 10 hours. And then all of a sudden you try and go to the restroom and something feeling kind of weird. Maybe that's why I don't know. But yeah, there's that. So if you're just now coming in, the judge has not made a final decision on what, if any, Diddy will get any time. He has not made a decision. Different attorneys are seeking different things. Let me go back. You guys are just now coming in. Hold on one second. Give me a second. Yes, I realize this is disgusting. Hold on. Many people are coming in. Because literally, like I said, when I woke up, I just wanted somebody to tell me what was going on because I was knocked out. I think because of the heat.
Found him guilty
on
2 counts of prostitution. The music mogul was acquitted, though, of the most serious. Another big story we're following for you. A judge has ruled Sean Diddy Combs will remain in jail after a jury found him guilty on 2 counts of prostitution. The music mogul was acquitted, though, on the most serious charges, that's sex trafficking and racketeering. Attorneys for Combs declined to comment on the bail being denied, saying that those things are still in process. Listen.
We are not nearly done fighting. Today was a major, major step in the right direction, but we fight on, and we're going to win, and we're not going to stop.
Wait, that's his attorney speaking. Wait, that's not the one I wanted. Here it is.
Sean Diddy Combs.
Like the video as you guys come in. I'm replaying for the people that just came in.
The mixed verdict at his sex trafficking trial. CBS News legal reporter Katrina Kaufman has been following this case very closely. Thank you very much for joining us. Can you tell us what happened in court today?
This was 22 minutes ago.
Anticlimactic hearing. It lasted about 2 minutes, but it was audio. Sean Combs' attorney, Mark Agnifilo, was on the line. A couple of the attorneys from the prosecution, Christy Slavic and Emily Johnson, were. And Mark Agnifilo also told us that Sean Combs was listening in as well. But essentially, shortly before this hearing happened, Agnifilo had sent in a letter to the judge. He said the parties had conferred and agreed upon a timeline for the sentencing. What they're proposing is September 22nd, with a pre-sentencing investigation report, which is essential before the sentencing happens, done by September 5th. Last week, the judge had tentatively set October 3rd, so this doesn't actually push things up that much, but the defense said they want this as expedited as possible, and it sounds like perhaps this is the latest they could agree upon. So basically what happened in there is after they identified themselves, we were all listening in from a courtroom on audio, and someone from the court said that the judge is going to review this proposal and get back to everyone.
And Katrina Combs is facing up to 20 years in prison between those two convictions. What sort of sentence is the defense, and what sort of sentence is the prosecution looking for here?
So the prosecution had a big shift last week. When the verdict initially came in with those 2 guilty counts for transportation to engage in prosecution, they initially said they were planning to go for the max here. That's the 20 years. But when we regrouped later for the bail hearing, they said they'd done some initial calculations and they thought he deserved at least 5 or 6 years. Now, the defense says that they're calculating about 2 years. So there's a pretty big divide there. Sean Combs has already, as of now, spent about 10 months in detention as well. That will count towards his prison sentence once that happens. Although I do think the fact that the judge didn't let him out on bail last week and really emphasized Combs' history of violence and the fact that that is something that the defense has not disputed at all during this trial could weigh in when the sentencing finally happens.
All right, Katrina Kaufman, thank you very much for staying on top of this.
So there's the update.
This morning, Sean Diddy Combs acquitted of the most serious charge.
So there's the update, you guys. I needed it. I had to bring it to you guys. So there's no confusion. If people say he was there in person, they're not telling the truth. It was always supposed to be a remote hearing. Okay, everyone, I appreciate you all being here. I hope I gave you a lot of great content today. This is the second live for me. Tomorrow I will go live. I will give you guys some more information. People are debating what transpired, why it transpired, calling people kind of out. Like we said, Judge Mathis has tuned in and gave his thoughts. He kind of thought that it would be the way that it was, and the jury was going to make the decision they made. Maybe I'm hearing that the judge had told the jurors, don't speak. Don't speak, don't do interviews. If you're feeling concerned, maybe the judge told them don't speak. Don't speak, don't do interviews. And if you want to do them, maybe do them after the sentencing. That could be a possibility. We don't know what the judge told the jurors. We weren't in the room. We can't confirm or deny. Some people are trying to say there was some situations outside and they had to hurry up and move people onto across the street. They were doing that anyway because no one knew what the judge was going to decide, whether he was going to give him bail or not. So some people were across the street. Some people were still across the street in front of the courthouse. So there's a lot of misinformation. And I've been trying to clear a lot of misinformation. That's what we do over here anyway. We debunk stuff. We debunk false statements or comments. And the jury made a decision. Some people are happy with it. Some people are not. So tomorrow, my plan is to go live. I don't know if it's going to be 11 or 12 or 1, but there's some information I do want to get into about how people are feeling about after the verdict. Some people are trying to play victim and they're trying to make this case about them. It's not. It's about him and what some of the actual victims experience. So there's that. Yeah. So, we'll see what happens. Each attorney has talked to the judge of what they would like in regards to what his sentencings will be. But some people are saying free him. You have a right over here to say that. That's cool. I don't have a problem with that. But people are also upset about what happened in that video with Cassie. Many people are feeling that the women should have said messages. No, I don't want to do this anymore. I want to be with you and only you. But some of these women made decisions on, having these FOs, which is concerning. I wouldn't want to do them. I would never. That's just unacceptable of women allowing themselves to be dating somebody, but he's sitting in the background watching you. You know what I mean? And then people want to plan the sloppy seconds. Ugh. But go over there and listen to that interview in regards to Clayton Howard. Some of the stuff he was saying was interesting. Now that I think about it, I don't even want to repeat it. But yeah, there's a lot that happened in that interview. He interviewed with TK. Go watch it. Some of the clips are on Neighborhood Talk. Some of the clips are on Shade Room. Some of the clips are on Hollywood Unlocked. So go check out those clips in regards to what Clayton Howard had to say. And allegedly in the court trial, he was called Dave. And Dave had a lot to say about Cassie. So will more people speak out about Cassie? We'll see. He is allegedly trying to sue her and Diddy. So, and we'll find out more about the civil suits as well. We'll find out more about the civil suits as well. But with the racketeering, the courts can't take over Diddy finances. Now that he beat the racketeering, the courts can't go after his millions. They can't. So maybe the jurors felt a way about them trying to go after his millions and billions. So there's that. I hope you guys subscribed. We are trying to get to 40K. We're almost there. We will reach that this week. So thank you for subscribing. Thank you for liking. Thank you for being kind and respectful in the comments. Please go over and support your favorite content creators that are trying to tell the truth. A lot of great content creators were there day and day and day in the courtroom listening to what was being talked about. So go over to your favorite content creators like myself and give them kudos for covering the trial. Many of us were so happy when it was done and over with. I was all shopping, smiling. What are you smiling about? The Diddy trial is pretty much over. Now we just got to worry about sentencing. So people were like, okay, you happy? Yes, I'm happy. But the jury made a decision. It was put in their hands and they made a decision, and people have to respect that. It is what it is. So for me, I didn't care here nor there, but I appreciate you guys. Okay, I'm about to get out of here. I have something I have to do. Copyright disclaimer: under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comments, news reporting, teaching, scholarships and research. Fair use is used permitted by a copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. All comments are alleged in our opinion and for entertainment purposes only. You're welcome, Tina. Appreciate you for saying thank you. Yeah, focus on healthy, safe relationships, everybody. Be around people that's loving, kind, and respectful. I appreciate you all. Have a great day. Keep cool. Some areas are having highs and low, extreme heat. Check on the elderly. Check on your mother, father. Make sure they have proper fans. Sometimes put ice. Sometimes put things in the freezer. Take it out to cool you off. You know what I mean? Water, bottles, whatever. But yeah. Let me know in the comments, what's the weather like where you're at? What's the weather like where you're at? It's been hot pretty much everywhere. And praying for people in Texas. A lot is going on in the world. A lot is being talked about in regards to I don't like saying his name. You know, there's conversations in regards to what Donald and Elon Musk had going on. But there's stuff that's going on in Texas. Praying for people in Texas. There's just a lot going on. So, well wishes to everyone. Be safe. Be kind. Be respectful. Thanks for being here. Goodbye, everyone. Be blessed.